Hey everyone, thanks for listening to the Grow Your Life podcast. My name's Jeremiah Krakowski, and in this podcast we talk about ways for you to grow in your life and in your business. If you are a coach, mentor, trainer, and you want to know how do I get more clients and how do I make more money and have things come together the way that I want them to, that's what this podcast is all about. You're in the right place. Now, what I want to talk about here today is part of the mental battles that we deal with and how to overcome those. And a strategy that I've found recently that has made a huge difference for me in my own journey. Number one, I've talked about over the years, I've had trauma and limiting beliefs and even dealt with ADHD and various things that have caused me trouble with building my business that people deal with. That is very real that maybe we don't talk about. But I've learned how to show up confidently. I didn't show up confidently on camera for years. I've learned how to communicate well with people. I've learned how to lead, how to run a company, how to do hard things that, quite frankly, just no matter how much training I took, didn't come naturally to me. And I was overwhelmed constantly by doing these things. And I hear people all the time say, Jeremiah, I'm overwhelmed constantly by these things. And so here's one of the number one things that I can tell you is that you have to learn the art of stepping into a joyful state of mind. A sort of like a childlike, playful state of mind. Here's what that looks like, though, practically, is that you have hope for how things are going to turn out well for you. That you get into actually feeling the end outcome working out before it happens. And this can actually be kind of difficult and very hard and almost like your brain doesn't want to go there because it looks at reality and it looks at what's really going on in our lives and it says, I'm not going to go there. I can't go there because it's not true. And so I'm a realist. I'm somebody who looks at things realistically. And then what I've done is I've actually learned and sort of reverse engineered this into how can I make this work as a framework for my life, for my business, and what I can share with other people, is that you have to figure out how to get there, get into a joyful state of mind as far as that goes. Now, not every day are you going to experience that. In fact, most of the time when we wake up in the morning, we don't experience that. But there are techniques and strategies that can get you into that state of mind. And that's what I've been realizing is that for me to show up as best as I can, even recording this podcast, I was struggling to get into the right mindset to share with you what I wanted to share. And so what I had to do is I had to just take a few minutes and breathe and calm my nervous system down and relax a little bit. And you might say, I don't have time for that. I would implore you that you don't have time not to. Is that when it comes to building your business, taking 5 to 10 minutes to reset yourself. And by the way, sometimes it's setting a time limit on that. Learning how to not get so amped up in situations in your life. Have you ever noticed when you wake up in the morning, maybe you feel joyful or you don't. It depends on what are you focusing on when you go to bed. Whatever we focus on in our mind's eye and in our energy ends up coming out in our actions. And so if I'm focusing on how all the bad stuff is happening and what I don't like that's going on and what I wish was different, all I end up experiencing is like I'm slogging through mud trying to get to where I want to go, and I have no focus, I have no drive, I have no motivation, and all I can actually see is what's not working. And so I'm in a critical state of mind. And so just shifting and training your brain to shift into a positive, not just positivity, but a joyful, expectant, gratitude-based, excited, I'm expecting things to work out well. I have a vision that I'm going to record, like for a podcast like this. I have a vision that I'm going to record a podcast that's going to impact people and they're going to love it. And actually seeing people enjoying the content and coming into it from that perspective of visualizing in my mind's eye the most positive outcome. Not that I finished the podcast. See, that's one of the keys. It's not just me visualizing, oh, I did the podcast. I could do that in my sleep. That's easy. But that it actually went well, and that it was exciting, and that it was fun, and that I enjoyed what I did. When it comes to making video content, when it comes to communicating well over video, this is one of the key aspects of being able to do so, is because your energy gets transferred to people by what they see in your body language and your facial expression. And so if you're so focused or like this, it doesn't translate in a way that is going to connect. It's going to repel people that you want to actually connect with. It's going to make people think something is off as far as that goes. And when it comes to our marketing in our businesses as coaches and as mentors, how we communicate, our body language, how we show up, the tone of voice, what is showing up on our expression, as well as our bodily expression, because the expression goes beyond just what's on the face, but also how we show up physically, our tonality, the way that we're structuring words. Are we defensive? Are we trying to prove ourselves? All of this comes together, and subconsciously, those that listen to us, those that are reading our marketing, those that are checking out all the different things to see, is this somebody I want to work with? People end up making decisions if they want to work with us based on how are we showing up in those ways. And so if you can tune and align yourself to be able to show up well, that changes everything for you. Some of the ways that I used to try, I did, is sometimes I might play a video game or watch a movie or read a book or something like that. Those don't always work. Sometimes you'll go for a walk. Exercise can help really well as well. Making sure that you're eating a good diet, something that has whole foods, green foods, something that makes sure that you have enough water as well. All of these factors play into the neurotransmitters in our mind and how we actually show up. And that allows us to either attract or repel the people that we want to work with. And so this is why this is one of those number one big mistakes that I see the people make when it comes to building their business or trying to get clients or trying to do the things that they want to do, is that they end up just really like, they're so caught up in what they want to avoid. They're so caught up in what's not working. They're so caught up in the feelings of everything that's going on around them, that they're not present, that they're not actually consistent, and it's not somebody that people actually want to listen to or spend time with. For your marketing to be effective, for you to be a good speaker, teacher, author, trainer, your energy has to show up in a way that draws people to you, in a way that gets people want to be on board with you. So again, this can also come from your faith. This can come from prayer. This can come from meditation as well. One of the things that I like to do is I have certain levels of meditation that I'll go through. Is one of them is I'll start with paying attention to my breath. I did this a little bit ago, actually, as I sat over here and I paid attention to my breath, the rising and falling of my lungs as I breathed in. That was stage one. Number two, I just kind of mentally scanned from my head to my toes and then back up again. And then I started to notice different changes inside of my feeling and stuff like that. Then what I started to do is I started to focus on feeling gratitude mentally. So I focus on just being present, scanning my body, and then gratitude. And then from that gratitude, I start focusing in on what is the task at hand that I have to do. Okay? One of the things you want to be aware of is your brain, as you start to meditate, your brain might try to look at all the stuff that's going wrong. You just want to let those thoughts pass you on by. And you want to be intentional in what you're doing. So once you get present and once you can get focused in on scanning your body and the breath, this can take maybe 5 to 10 minutes sometimes. And you might say, I don't have 5 to 10 minutes sometimes. I get it. This can actually literally, you might feel itchy or tingly, or you might feel like this is too much, or it's like you're overstimulated by trying to sit there and do this. That right there shows you why we need to do that, because your nervous system, we want to bring that into alignment of a state of calm, peace, and presence. And so when we can do this, and then we can start to get intentional around joy, gratitude, happiness. I'm excited. I have hope for the future. It trains and tunes the reticular activating system of your brain to look for all the good stuff. And so then when we go out there to do the thing that might be hard or that we're procrastinating on or that has been hard for us, it literally unlocks the creativity in your mind to be able to go out there and do those things. Again, you can learn more about different stuff like this. There's different practices. Some are more spiritual than others. I tend to be more focused on the physical, about how I'm feeling physically. And just what is, like, do I feel anxious energy, or have I calmed that down to where I feel at ease, at rest. And I even use this when I go to sleep as well. It helps me fall asleep. Now, you don't want to fall asleep when you're doing this when you have work to do. This can actually energize you when you have work to do by focusing intentionally on that joy and that happiness and where you're going with things, okay? So again, this is what I have found, is that by getting present, we end up detaching from the past or the future even, and we start getting present and we start visualizing what is the next thing that I got to do. What is the outcome that I want to happen from this? Maybe I got to take a course, okay? I'm not just going to focus on taking the course. I'm going to have set an intention of this course is going to, I'm going to know all the great things that I need to know about getting this accomplished. And so I move one step further from the task that I have to visualize into what is the feeling and emotion to start to experience that at the end of it. So I calm the nervous system down. I breathe in and out through that. I do the meditation breathing. And then I focus in on what is that outcome that I want to get to as to how it feels inside of me. I do this after I feel that calm and that peace. After I feel that ease as far as that goes. Now, depending on, let's say that I had a really stressful morning, sometimes that can take me 30 minutes to do. But I will tell you this, in my experience, it's worth it taking that 30 minutes. Because when we don't, we end up showing up in a way that is just not our best. We end up showing up in a way that is not going to connect with people well. And so this is what I've found is that there's certain tasks that, yes, you got to do them. You got to dive into them. We can't take 30 minutes to do them. I totally understand that. But I'll say this, when it comes to me showing up on video or making video content, that's generally where I like to go, is I like to really focus on calming the nervous system down and getting into the most positive, excited, happiest state of mind mentally. And then that gets me ready to be able to communicate and work with people. Now, one of the things that I love to do is I love to help coaches and mentors that they are struggling to get leads, they're struggling to use Facebook ads, they're struggling to get their funnels up. And one of the things that people tell me is those can be really, really overwhelming to do those things. This practice is one of those things that you can also do when you go into doing and building your funnels. And it's something that I train and teach a lot of my clients to do in my Client Growth Accelerator program. This is one of the tactics that I teach them, is get into a childlike, playful state of mind. Do something that's fun for you to get your mind off of the thing that you're trying to avoid or that you don't want to experience, and learning to take control of your thoughts. Learning to where your thoughts don't go every one way, your feelings and emotions and internal bodily anxiety doesn't control you. This is something that not a lot of people talk about, and I think that even traditional therapy can sometimes fail people at. I've been working with a therapist for over 3 years. It's helped me tremendously, but I found myself ruminating on all the stuff I wanted to avoid instead of having hope for where I wanted to go. And as soon as I shifted out of that and into being a co-creator of the world around me and what I wanted to experience, and started saying, okay, I'm going to make this happen the way I want it to happen, everything started shifting in a positive direction for me. And I can tell you it'll happen for you as well. All right, so listen, this has been the Grow Your Life podcast. If you've liked it, please share this episode with somebody. I know that it's going to impact somebody in your life, and don't just hold this to yourself. Share this episode so that it can also impact somebody else as well. And if you are a coach or mentor, I'd love to work with you in my accelerator program. Jump in there and let's get your business growing. We'll talk soon.